on Noster, there's users literally from all over the world, every continent, and we're all zapping these sats back and forth frictionlessly, and we're doing all of this without having to create an account, without having to convert currencies, without having to KYC ourselves. The way I've seen Noster work and the way I've personally used it, it just, to me, it's revolutionary for this kind of thing. And so for an artist or a writer or a creator of any type, you suddenly have the potential to have a worldwide audience, a connection worldwide with anybody. And if any of those people choose to support you, they can do so instantly. And those funds are in your wallet and you can go spend them. And I mean, it really is magical, and that sounds cheesy, but it truly is.
When someone's trying to join a platform, or they have to, they're trying to get their name out, and the level of hurdles they have to go through just to earn a cent, that's very, very discouraging. And they're creative people. They just want to be creative. They want to put their fingers on the guitar and crank out what they do best. But no, they put their fingers on their phone, and they got to act like they're socialites and do some hashtags and everything like that. Maybe they don't want to do that. But these platforms are not the way. The protocol, you can skip all that redundancy. You just do it once. You build your name through your music, and it's a totally different world. I just think that can't be stressed enough, that this is just waiting for them. And you don't come thinking you're going to get rich. You're coming because the idea is there. The tools are there. And you can be a sovereign musician, sovereign artist, sovereign whatever it may be, but the idea's time has come.
Greetings and salutations, my fellow plebs. My name is Walker, and this is the Bitcoin Podcast. The Bitcoin time chain is 864650, and the value of one Bitcoin is still one Bitcoin. Today's episode is a Bitcoin and Nostr Talk, where I talk with my guests about Bitcoin, Nostr, and whatever else comes up. And today, my guests are renowned anonymous Nostr memelords, Corndalorian and Quiet Warrior, aka Corn and QW. We streamed this episode live on zap.stream, a Noster streaming platform, and I'll be doing this more often for some of my episodes moving forward. So if you want to get the episodes of the Bitcoin Podcast before everyone else, you can only do that on Noster. If you are not familiar with Noster, this episode is a great introduction to why you should be on Noster, why you should care. Whether you're a content creator, a musician, a memer, a dissident, a free speech lover, or just a regular person who's sick of algorithms on centralized platforms making you feel like shit. And of course, if you are already on Noster, you are going to love this conversation. Before we dive in, do me a favor and subscribe to the Bitcoin Podcast wherever you're listening or watching. Give the show a boost on Fountain if you find it valuable. And if you're not using fountain.fm for podcasts, what the hell are you doing? Check out bitcoinpodcast.net for episodes and additional resources. Head to the show notes for my links and QW and Corns. Grab discount links in the show notes for my kick-ass sponsor Bitbox and other partners. And send an email to hello@bitcoinpodcast.net if you have feedback or if you're interested in sponsoring the Bitcoin Podcast. Without further ado, let's get into this Bitcoin and Nostr talk with Corndalorian and Quiet Warrior. Well, okay, we are live now. So you guys, thanks for joining, because this is my first ever live stream that I am hosting with other people. I hosted a Titcoin test earlier, but that was just me. So now I've got you guys here. What a beautiful, beautiful thing to do. Couldn't imagine two better meme lords to share this live stream stage with. So yeah, thanks for coming on another fucking Bitcoin podcast.
And let's be clear, I've only been a meme lord for a couple weeks now. It was really just a combat against Corndalorian. He's been kind of a one man wrecking crew, and I thought he needed a little taste of his own medicine.
Corn, do we have a response?
No, it's an honor to be here among two fantastic people. So, yeah, I notice on my screen, I don't know how it is on yours, my box is on top above QW's, so I assume that's on purpose. No, man, there are so many good memers on Noster. um, and so I love shooting the memes back and forth with people, especially like, every day there's kind of a steady flow of memes or an ebb and flow, but when something happens and it just triggers everybody, at least I know for me, like, you just start firing them off and people get so creative, and man, it's so much fun when that happens. So
it is wild to see, like, like, and it happens from little things too. Like Jack posts a photo, or like, what did he remember when everyone was Dan for a while, the Dan times?
yeah.
That was great. Like, and it's incredible because it's all happening very much in real time. You're watching everybody do this, but then if you weren't actively on Noster when one of these when one of these incredible events took place, you like come back on like a day later or something. I mean, I personally don't take that much time off of Noster, but if you do, you come back on and you're like, what the fuck why is everybody Dan? Like, what the fuck did I, like, what could I possibly have missed that just happened here? This is insane. But yeah, I've got to say your guys' back and forth meme war is a pretty powerful one. It's like got some Montague and Capulet action going on. Like it's a blood rivalry built on top of memes. It's kind of beautiful and poetic though, really. I mean, I dig it. And they make me chuckle every time. I'm like, I don't know who wins though. Like, does a meme feud ever end?
we messaged each other, I don't know, maybe it was last week, and we were like, how do you win a meme war? Or maybe it was Avi. He might have asked that. Somebody asked, how do you win a meme war? And we didn't really have a good answer. So I honestly, at this point, I don't even remember how our meme war started or why it started. But do you remember QW? What kicked it off?
I think I instigated it like usual. I'm always trying to stir some shit, but I think one thing I learned, and I think it was a Sunday morning that we really kicked it into gear, is pace yourself. Because if you start blasting memes, your mind can only move so fast. It seemed like we had like 10 or 20 memes within the first 2 hours of the day. And I so much so that even my Bitcoin meetup, my local meetup, someone posted in the Telegram room that, hey guys, you guys are missing out on this meme war going on. And I'm just like laughing because it's like, it has to be, ripples or waves across the social media and decentralized media. I don't even know who would have even talked about it. But one thing I do know is it was storming the feed. So there was even one guy that had to mute me for the day because it was too many memes. So there is that. You gotta find a nice flow to it, right?
Man, I don't know if I first of all, I don't think I could mute. Like, I don't think I've ever muted somebody that like I like as a follow. Like I've muted more reply guys than I can shake a stick at. And a lot of bots, but I don't think I would just always want to see more memes. Like, memes are the spice of life. I don't know. I guess some people it's, too much meme to handle, but that's not me. I say, keep the memes coming, keep them flowing. Like, it's a beautiful thing, right? That we can actively communicate in this way. Yeah. We've got fancy words and things like that, but memes are just such a fucking effective way to propagate ideas. Like, that's the whole point of them, right? And I have to say that, like, I feel like Noster, like, once we started getting on Noster, I feel like it somehow like leveled up people's meme games, because it wasn't just what's going to get like retweets and likes. It was, you were actually trying to create valuable memes that weren't just rip-offs of something somebody else had made. You were trying to make something that was topical, that was pertinent to what was being discussed, that was really, like, of course, a meme should be relatable, right? But, like, I feel like Noster leveled up the meme game. And Bitcoin Twitter was already pretty fire in terms of memes, but it was a lot of just, like, recycled shit, a lot of stuff that's just getting ripped off from other people and then reposted. But, like,
from
Noster, it's
Corn.
like, yeah, exactly. But on Noster, it's like, no. We're fucking taking this to the next level. We are turning up the heat. And I think that these meme skills will serve all of us very well in the meme wars to come, because that's like an information war is just a meme war, right? Like memes are the best way to disseminate information. And if you're in an information war, like the people that have the best memes are going to win. Like that's what presidential elections are. They're just meme wars. Like,
yeah,
it's what it comes down to.
I mean, in Taiwan, they actually started a meme engineering team, basically, that was countering disinformation from China, and their whole approach was humor over rumor. And then you look at like the 2016 election, 2020 election, these debates just turn into zingers to where you can get, he's eating the cats and then all of a sudden the memes go off. It's not even about content anymore. It's about that humor over rumor approach. And you can see why, the state's kind of cracking down on it too. Whether it's that one Ricky Vaughn guy that got 7 months for his meme against the voting machines or something. So he did 7 months for a meme, and he's Ricky Vaughn. The Wild Thing is his avatar, and then where are we going with Newsom with his AI deepfakes? I mean, it's just a slippery slope into memedom, So it's something that's real. It's something that is effective, and they know it. And, you asked where it began with me and Corn. I remember now, because I did the Other Stuff challenge, which I only used Other Stuff instead of Kind One Notes for an entire week with Avi. So we were on Fountain, we were on Abla, we were on zap.cooking, we were on all these different Other Stuff, part of Noster, using Noster without notes, essentially. And after I got that week done, I'm like, what if I did Noster with only memes, and every reply was a meme, everything I did was only a meme? And I'm like, that seems like it just drive me nuts. And then I'm like, fuck it, let's fight Corn.
Corn, is that how you remember it as well from your side, or was it just all of a sudden a sudden onslaught of mimetic fury was directed at you?
No, that sounds familiar. And I do remember that one morning where I kind of took advantage of our time zone difference. And so QW and I have a few hours time zone different between us. So I was up early, and I hammered out probably a dozen memes just going, they were all dumb, but it was fun. Posted them, and that way when he woke up, he would wake up to seeing, his notifications hopefully tagged with all these memes. And I think that kind of kicked things off from there.
No, I love it. And again, just like it is, because QW mentioned just the Gavin Newsoms of the world and all this crackdown on, quote, misinformation and disinformation or hate speech. And these different laws that you're seeing going into effect around the world, that the UK is like, damn, you are really fucking things up right now. And it's like, it seems to me sometimes just almost too good to be true that Noster came along around this time. Like perhaps it's one of those things where it's not a coincidence at all. Like Fiat Joff had been working on this for a couple of years, probably, I don't know his exact motivations, but presumably because he saw some of the writings on the wall and decided, okay, we need a open source protocol for free and open communication where people can remain anonymous and not need to give up their personally identifiable information in order to create an account here, right? And to have those accounts be portable across clients. But like, man, it's getting really bad really fast. And I think that, I don't think it even necessarily matters probably matters a little bit who wins the next election in the US, but I don't see the crackdown on free speech abating. Like, it seems to me like this is only intensifying. And sadly, a lot of people are not going to decide to look for Noster until they really, really, really need to. Like, they realize, oh shit, my X account or whatever, or my Facebook account is tied to my like actual name, and I can have the police show up at my door because I posted, a dangerous meme. And I think more and more people are going to realize the power of anonymity, of pseudonymity, of not needing to tie your real world self to your online presence, but still being able to have productive discourse. Like, you guys are both NIMs, right? And I think that's fucking awesome that Noster enables that without you guys needing to give away anything. And I'm kind of curious, without doing any sort of doxing and whatever you are comfortable with sharing, I always like to ask the question of, like, who are you and how'd you get here today? But maybe for you guys, let me just phrase it as like, who is your NIM? Who are you, to whatever extent you are comfortable revealing it? And how did you find your way to Noster? And maybe, Corn, we can start with you.
Yeah. So I let's see. Let's go back a few years to Twitter. Just as my normie self, I was never like super active on Twitter, but I had a Twitter account for most of the time of Twitter's existence, and just kind of used it to keep tabs on news, politics, weather, just kind of like, it was like a bulletin board. And started getting into Bitcoin about 5 years ago, I guess it was. Curious about Bitcoin, and started looking at Bitcoin on Twitter, and kind of found some accounts to start following. Again, just from my normie account, for lack of a better term. And I don't know, you just kind of saw how much fun people were having with the memes. The community grew on me, but I didn't really want to interact too much from my regular account. I use it for other things as well, and so I decided, hey, I'll create another account for Bitcoin. So this will be my Bitcoin account. And originally the name wasn't Corndalorian. It was like something about hodling. I don't know. I don't remember what it was.
Poontang Hodler 69 or something.
I thought you were going to say hung, like you were hung like a bull or something.
No, something.
That's your other account.
Gorilla Balls Hodl 69 420.
That's a totally different topic and section of Twitter. Don't talk about that too much. But after a couple months using it, I decided I wanted to change the name, and went back and forth with a few people on Twitter. And anyway, somebody helped me come up with a name. I think originally I had thought of Mandacornian, and that didn't really roll off the tongue as well. And then somebody was like, what about Corndalorian? I'm like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. And so I found the little corn Lego man and a Mandalorian helmet, photoshopped them together, and thus was born this account. And I love memes. I had loved memes for years before that. Made them occasionally. Wasn't as into it as I am now. But started following some of the memers on Twitter, Yellow, Greg, Sean, the Meme Factory crew, and there was kind of some meme wars heating up on Twitter. There was the Meme Factory, there was the Meme Tards, and so I kind of got with a few other people on Twitter, and we started up the meme pool. And the meme pool was, we were like the trailer trash version of a meme crew. And if any of you guys are listening, I say that with all the love I can, because it was so much fun, and you guys were awesome, and it was fun. But we never kind of got the attention that like the Meme Factory crew did and everything. So, but we just had fun with it. We just made memes, and about Bitcoin, about the Fed, about the government, about free speech, about whatever, and just had fun with it. And then when was it? December of 2022, when the famous Jack tweet went out about Noster. I had heard about it, but just hadn't set up a key. I had tried out the Mastodon thing when everybody was doing that, and that didn't really work out. And at the time, I just thought, well, Noster is probably the next Mastodon. and everybody's going to try it, and everybody's going to come back to Twitter. But I tried it. I thought, cool. Hey, if Jack's tweeting about it and all these other people are trying it, let me just check it out. And I don't know. It was just like, it was kind of like that moment for me. Finding Noster was kind of like the same feeling as when Bitcoin clicked for me. And it was like, when Bitcoin clicked, there was nothing stopping me at that point. I was going to learn everything I could about it. I was going to, start acquiring it however I could, morally, but and it was just kind of like that same feeling when Noster clicked for me, and I think I had only been on it for 2 or 3 weeks there at the end of December, the end of 2022, and it just was like, oh my goodness, this is how we need to be communicating if we truly want free speech. I can sign an event, I can sign a note with a key that I generated, and I didn't have to ask anybody to generate it for me. I didn't have to sign up. I didn't have to wait for approval. I didn't have to. Sorry, my daughter's in the background if you hear her there.
You never have to apologize for kids. This is the language may not be family friendly on this show, but this is a family friendly environment.
All good. No, I've got headphones on, so say all you want. But it was just like that aha moment of I can publish these notes, and the UI wasn't great, but it was close enough. Like, okay, this is usable. I was using Damus at the time, primarily trying out a few others, but it's just like, wow, I can publish this. It goes to all these relays. If all of them but one died or were shut down, like, my notes would still be there. I could duplicate that same note to any additional number of relays if I ever needed to. And we could post links and they would render as photos, and that's where I was like, hey, look, there aren't a lot of memes on here. Let's start posting some memes. There was no way to upload them, in Damus or the other clients I tried. Noster.build started up shortly after that, but there wasn't really a convenient media host. So, we were using, what's the Imgur?
Yeah.
We were using Imgur, the Image Flip, the memeing website, or there were a couple others I can't remember now, and just making it work. So we'd upload our images, whatever it was, and paste them in a note, and then publish it, and you hope that Imgur or whoever didn't take it down.
Yeah.
And anyway, obviously between then and now, like, the UI of these apps has just exponentially gotten better. Uploading photos and videos directly in the app, and it just keeps getting better every day. But yeah, for me, it was just like, once I started using it, I could see that there was no way to really turn back. I still had Twitter. I still have some accounts on other social networks where I just used to keep up with people. But honestly, Noster is it's where I spend pretty much all my time socially. I don't really use my regular social media for anything anymore, and I don't really need to, other than keeping up with friends here and there. But for my day-to-day social activity online, Noster is where I am, and it's only going to continue. So it just kind of clicked, and it made sense. And I'm kind of like, when I hear about some of these people who are still hating on Noster and refusing to use it, or saying it's never going to work, it's not going to scale, blah blah blah. I just don't understand, and I think it's just that it has to be that they haven't used it enough, because it just makes sense, and the scaling issues will work out, the UI issues will work out, the media hosting issue, all of that's going to work out, because the problem that Noster solves is a real problem, and the solution is needed, and Noster does it very well.
Amen. I mean, it is funny when I still see people like Bitcoiners, because like it's the people that hate on Noster that aren't on Noster are predominantly Bitcoiners. And there's also like obviously a lot of Bitcoiners on Noster and a lot of other people who have been exposed to Bitcoin through Noster, which is incredible. You know, purple pill leading to the orange pill. It's wonderful. But like seeing some of the people who are, you know, very, you know, well-respected Bitcoiners just kind of taking dumps on Noster, it's like, oh, it's funny because you're primed to get it. Like you should get this. Like the developers on here are mostly Bitcoiners or have become Bitcoiners. Like this is a open source communication protocol, like Bitcoin is an open source money protocol. And you need a communication protocol to be able to take full advantage of your money protocol. Like, and it's wild to me that there's that, like, a lot of people still have that blind spot for it. But no, I remember those early days as well. I was happy, you know, my small humble brag is being on maybe a week or so before Jack was. But like Bitcoin, I saw Noster before that and ignored it, much like I did the first couple times I heard about Bitcoin. I remember I was on Fiat Joff's GitHub for, as one does, you know, and I was looking at some Lightning work he'd done, and I came across like Noster, you know, like, okay, you know, some other stuff transmitted by relays. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like something like for like decentralized social media or whatever. Like anyway, like back to whatever I was doing, looking through Fiat Joff's GitHub, and just ignored it. And then it was when Will JB55 posted about the Damas test flight on Twitter, and I was like, oh shit, that's right, I read about that on Fiat Joff's GitHub. Like, okay, I'll try this out. And I did, and then it was like, oh wow, like this is just neat. And it was so clunky at first, but it was also it was so beautifully clunky. And now things are much more smoother and sleek, and that is wonderful. But it's nice to have that nostalgia for those old times. But I digress. QW, what about you? Whatever you feel comfortable sharing, but you know, what brought you to Noster, and how'd you get here, man?
Well, I was listening to, so I was never really into the Bitcoin Twitter deal. It wasn't really my thing. And I've said this prior, you know, I just felt like it was an abyss. It was an algo driven, not a lot of communication going on, in my world. But I was heavy in the podcasts. I would listen to podcasts. You know, I wanted to learn. I wanted to expand my understanding. And I heard about Noster through the podcast. But the one person that finally drove me over the edge was David Bennett with Bitcoin and. He was talking about the portability, the interoperability, the getting your namespace, and the kind of the exciting part about Noster to me is that freedom aspect of owning your private property, your private identity, owning your identity, I guess you'd say. But that's what drove me over the edge. And at that same time period, it was right before Christmas. So I think December 19th, I joined up right after the great Jack Hatchening or the Jackening or whatnot. That's when I was waiting on having my child. So I had my first child, only child, in early January. So, you know, I'm sure you know what it's like when you're on deck and you're just hanging out. You know, you got a fishbowl next to you and you're just waiting. So it was a perfect time, I believe. And I wonder if Jack didn't get that funding right before Christmas when that holiday break was happening, if people could have the time to want to learn what Noster is, because everyone showed up as a boomer and they're like, what the hell is this thing? They're on some janky client that's slow, and we were trying to upload PFPs or profiles, and it took a lot of demand. It was demanding, but once you got the hang of it, you know, there was a little bit of a learning curve, but we had the time at that period to where we're kind of all just in the holiday season mode. So I think that was an interesting facet of it. The reason I was Quiet Warrior is because I'm a Ron Paul not Republican, but a Ron Paulite. You can call it libertarian. I'm a Ron Paul independent, whatever. But that's kind of my bloodline when it comes to the way I think. And that drew me into not trusting the media, not trusting these social platforms. Privacy is an important facet of it. I'm not completely anonymous. I've done Nosterville live. I've done BitBlock Boom live with Pleb Chain Radio. And like you were saying, these Bitcoiners that they're greased up to get it, essentially. I did a Noster presentation for my local Bitcoin meetup where like 30 people, and it's been 2 months and they're still trying to get around to using it. And they want me to, they said, can you maybe do another one? Because it needs a few touches. They're just not really understanding. They're really stuck in that Bitcoin Twitter mindset, or they're just not on social media in general. So once I came to Noster, that time period, it was a different change. I mean, I remember AOL. I remember chronological timelines where you have these communities, where you have these conversations that were live. I'm born and bred kind of just a social person in real life. So when I had the community here, when we had the Bitcoin plus Noster, that's where Pleb Chain came around. Then we had the Zapathons after that. Avi hit me up. He wanted to do Pleb Chain Radio. I said, I can't do it. And then I walked with my wife on a Friday afternoon, had a couple drinks, and was just kind of walking our kid around the neighborhood. And I said, hey, babe, think I can do this podcast thing? And she's like, all right, I guess. So we started doing that. But I'm always about moving the culture. I'm always about, because Noster moves quick. Our 1 week will be Dan's. The next week, it's Skull of Satoshi. Next thing, Bitcoin's draining swimming pools. I mean, whatever it is, the culture moves quick. And I try to capture that. The Noster November movement we did last year, where I was just trying to inspire people to set up meetups, local meetups, even if it's 2-3 people. We started our own meetup, Noster PHX, here in Phoenix. We did a culture shock event, which was really combining with Wave Lake, who my buddy Sam, Lightning Store, at his venue with, we had open mic come in with Tunester. So we did it more of a music setup, where we had a 1-day event, and then we finished it off with live music, where Sarah J did her thing. The other stuff challenge was just a recent one. And then the meme wars. I mean, I think the biggest thing I try to do is make our culture sticky. So when you say, now is the time and we want people to come here, because it seems like the world is trending in a place where we need Noster. I think it's more important that we make our culture sticky to where when they come, they stay. And when you can do that, then they want to learn, because there is that hump we got to get over. So when they see the fun going on, they see the excitement. Oh, what the hell's that? Oh, my Telegram group says there's a meme war going on at Noster. Those are the things that bring people in, and they might be a stupid thing, but there might be something else. Maybe it's the zap.cooking. Maybe it's the long form Obla highlighter. Maybe it's zap.stream, whatever it is. But I truly think our culture, the human layer, is the most important part. And that is that is the other stuff in a way.
That's deep, man. We are the other stuff. I like it. No, I mean, it's left me speechless there. That was beautiful. But no, I think that you're right. It is about, because we've seen, those of us who have been here for a while, in relative terms, right? We've seen people come on and note like crazy for a couple of days, and then they just kind of drop off, right? And you don't hear from them again until the next like well-known censorship thing happens. And then they're back on again, and they're very you rah rah Noster, and then they kind of fade off again, and then again and again it happens. But it is about getting people to come and stay, and I think that like, it's incredible to think, just because you mentioned all these different other stuff tools, whether it be long form, whether it be zap.stream, which we're on right now, whatever it is, zap.cooking, which I just found out about, which is really neat. Like, what a cool idea. And I think we're going to see so much more stuff like that, right? That's just these random little niches, these little micro apps, like, that just provide a ton of value and do one thing really well. But those are the things that get people excited, because it may not be enough for them just to come and post notes and maybe post some other stuff in those notes. They want something else. They want something really specific. They want a different way to connect with whatever their community is. And, you know, it's interesting to see there's, you know, you have someone like Amethyst, and I talked to Vitor on the show last week, and it's really interesting what they're doing over there, because he's very much like knowingly building out a super app, but with the knowledge that micro apps are going to outcompete him. Like, he was very clear about this. He's like, yeah, no, they're going to do it better than I am. Like, we're throwing a ton of shit in there that we may not need, but like, we're just trying stuff out. And like, I love that attitude where he's like, yeah, micro apps are going to be better at some specific thing than we could ever possibly be, because we can't focus on all of that. But that's what I think brings people in and keeps them in. Like, yeah, the memes help a lot, but for some people, maybe they are just super jazzed up about cooking and finding like unique recipes from other people and maybe posting their own recipes and getting zapped for it. And so zap.cooking is like literally the only client they use and the only way they interact with Noster, and that's all they need. And that's beautiful. Maybe it's people who are, you know, deciding that, you know what, Substack takes a big cut of my revenue for my subscribers, so why don't I just start publishing my long form content on Abla or on Highlighter? And I think as we build out those individual micro app use cases, and we're seeing so many of them pop up, there becomes a lot more reason for people to have that sticky experience than there was when it's just short form note clients. Like, I think there's just so many more reasons to come and play around. But I think a huge part of that is just like, it's awareness too, right? Like, people have to be willing to do the work to go and find stuff out. Like, I didn't know zap.cooking existed until like, this week or something. And I was like, wow, that's really neat. And I'm on Noster every day. So it's like, how do you break outside for people that aren't on it yet, who don't even know that maybe they, the whole censorship resistant open source communication protocol for publishing doesn't really appeal to them that much, but that there's all these other things, this other stuff that really would. I don't know how you, I guess it just takes some time with this, because there aren't big marketing teams with big marketing budgets to go out there and push this on people. You have to kind of do the work to find it. Wherever you are in your Bitcoin journey, you know that it's all about doing the work. No one can go down the rabbit hole for you. And once you make it far enough, you realize you need a hardware wallet. And if that's where you're at, go to bitbox.swiss/Walker and use the promo code Walker for 5% off the fully open source, Bitcoin only Bitbox O2 hardware wallet, or anything else in their store. Then get your Bitcoin off the exchange and into your own self-custody. The Bitbox team has been great to work with. They build easy-to-use, secure, open-source solutions to keep your Bitcoin safe. And again, nobody can do the work for you. You have to put in the work yourself. But luckily, Bitbox makes it really easy. The Bitbox O2 is super simple to use, whether you are brand new to Bitcoin and it's your very first time setting up a hardware wallet, or you are a well-seasoned psychopath. It is Bitcoin only, and again, it is fully open source. You can head to their GitHub and verify that for yourself. No need to trust me or Bitbox. When you go to bitbox.swiss/Walker and use promo code Walker, not only do you get 5% off, but you also help support this fucking podcast. So thank you.
Yeah, and just like the meme war was just kind of a creative aspect of the human layer, like what Monday night, a friend of mine, Heather, she's a local friend, Nostr PHX. She did a very first yoga session. So she's for her real life work, she does yoga, and she did a yoga session on it was either Hive Talk or zap.stream. There's like 6 or 7 girls in there doing their yoga session from their living room. Tomorrow night, there's going to be a dance battle from Arusha, Tanzania. That's going to be on Toonster. I mean, these are, and man, like shout out to Man Like Quex on that one and Open Mic, but these are, kids. These are aspiring dancers that are going to get hit with lightning zaps, and don't get started about the conversion rate of the dollar to the Tanzanian shilling. Because, 1,500 sats is like 1 hour of labor there. So the amount of V for V arbitrage there is amazing. But that inspires people when they can say, "Hey, you want to connect to the internet? You want to connect to actual money, actual value, maybe the hardest money, especially when you have a deflationary, inflationary environment like theirs." So it's really unlocking this whole new world. And we're just all these developers are creating tools, the tools that can be used and whether you're using it for cooking, yoga, dancing, whatever it is. But the beauty of it is you have Lightning, Noster, and value for value, and then the human layer just takes over from there.
Yeah, I was that Forbes article is actually, I'll toss it up on the screen here, because we're fancy live streamers now, boys. We're doing this real. And for anyone who is listening to this later, got a frog in my throat apparently. Hold on, guys. But for anyone who's listening to this later, we are live streaming this on Noster, on zap.stream. You can go to zap.stream and see people's live streams there. You won't see ours right now because, again, you're listening to this later. But if you are in the future right now listening to the past, and you're not on Noster, come check it out, because it enables us to do stuff like this, and people are sending us sats as this happens, which is pretty cool. Also, I think there's a way to do splits on zap.stream. I don't know yet if I have that enabled, so I'm going to send you guys a portion of these zaps afterwards, because it only seems in the spirit of value for value.
Just send it all to whoever you thought wanted to be more.
All right, that's I told Carla, I was like, you have to pick this, and I'll pull up her pick for the Me More winner after this. It was somewhat, it is what I thought she would pick. Knowing.
I meant the Me More between me and Corn. We have to figure out who won.
I don't know if I want to get involved in that. But okay, we'll see. But no, I wanted to touch on this Forbes article, because this is really cool. This is in Forbes, the Forbes, Forbes.com. Musicians can now earn Bitcoin for streaming their songs. And shout out to Frank Corva for putting this out there. God, there's so many ads on news websites. It's just insane.
And Walker, just to add context, Corndalorian is also an acoustic artist. So he's got he is on Noster and knows the value for value setting. So this is a good topic for him too. Yeah. So and because Corn, I haven't heard your sweet voice in too long here, but I don't know. I'd love to just kind of hear what you think about this as somebody who is a musician. Seeing this now, again, this is in Forbes. If you're looking at this right now, Ainsley Costello, she's awesome. You have this opportunity now, and I loved in this article the breakdown of here's how much money I made from traditional distribution mechanisms and traditional licensing, and it's not very much. And then here's how much I earned, here's how much I earned through Noster directly to me with no middlemen taking a cut, value for value, sats in my pocket. That's incredible. And this breakdown, because you brought up Tanzania, and 1,000 sats is worth 1,731. I'm guessing that's Tanzanian shekels, if I had to guess. I'm guessing it's either shillings or shekels. Yeah, it's one of those old colonialist monies. But that's incredible that you can go to a local restaurant and get a soda for 1,000 shillings or shekels, whichever it is, a meal for 3,000, a bus ride for 600, water for 500. So when someone zaps me 10,000 sats for my song, which is currently worth 17,310 Tanzanian shekels, it goes a long way. That is really, really cool, because here, if you're privileged enough to live in a Western country, you may think 1,000 sats isn't very much. That's 50 cents, 55 cents, but that goes a very long way in a lot of places in the world, and that's really powerful. But Corn, I'd love your take on this as well. And to add to that, Walker, Quack's man, like Quack's, he essentially pays his power bill through Bitcoin zaps on Noster. It starts at power and then it ends at power. Pretty cool circular economy there.
That's beautiful. Corn, you want to get on this action?
Yeah, let me jump in. And just heads up, a couple people have commented that your microphone sounds quiet, so I don't know if that's from something on your end or their end. But
mine does.
Yeah, we got a couple comments from.
How's this now?
I have headphones on, so I can hear you.
You sound good to me, but I saw it a couple times in the chat.
Oh, okay. Now I'm embarrassed. You guys, I do have to apologize. I'm not a pro live streamer here, so still figuring this out. But I just pushed my fancy fader up higher, which I think makes things louder. So we'll see if that works.
Yeah. But yeah, value for value. When I saw this post yesterday, I saw, I think Fountain shared it, and then I saw Ainsley, I believe, had shared it, and a couple others with this Forbes article. It just really, really excited me. I've been a musician for most of my life, just enjoying playing music. It's been kind of a side hustle for me for at least the last decade or so, just off and on. Not like making money off of it, but just pays a couple bills here and there, kind of thing, and I have fun because I love making the music. I've been involved with some friends making a couple of recordings, albums, and I remember a producer friend of ours who has had quite a bit of involvement in the music industry. When we talked to him about streaming and albums and royalties and that kind of stuff, he basically told us, guys, you can expect to make, tens of cents off of this. He's like, you're not going to make any money streaming your music. It's just how it is. Unless you just go super big, and that's just not what we were doing. And so, with the way Noster and Bitcoin, especially, value for value can be done without Bitcoin. It can be done without Noster, but these two technologies are, in my opinion, just perfectly geared towards artists who want to connect directly with their audiences, who want to get their art out, and who don't want to have to play the game of catering to an algorithm, catering to a social media, arbitrary rules and changes, dancing on TikTok, whatever it may be, to have to get the attention, buying fake followers, it's like buying fake likes. There's so many tactics and tricks that people have to do to compete on these platforms to get enough attention to try and make something, or maybe they're working towards a sponsorship deal, and there may be different avenues, but it's like all of that time and energy competes with focusing their attention on creating and on writing or singing or recording, whatever it may be. And with value for value, and especially specifically Noster and Bitcoin, you can connect directly with people that enjoy what you create. And not everyone enjoys what everyone creates, and that's fine. But you can connect with the people that do, and if they want to support you financially, they can. And there's no one in the middle to say that they can't, or to require an account, or to require a certain number of followers before you can monetize. And I think on I can't remember which platform, but some platforms have minimum follower requirements before you're even eligible to monetize. And so you're an artist and you're trying to build this momentum, but you've got to focus your attention on the wrong things. And value for value, I feel like fixes things back in your favor, back in the favor of the artist. And so for me, I loved seeing this article on Forbes. I think it perfectly highlighted the power of Bitcoin and Noster to enable artists to do what they love to do.
Yeah, I think it's such an important point about smaller artists, right? People who are just trying to get started, because these algorithms, I mean, maybe TikToks would be the most favorable to smaller, unknown, like you can go viral even if you just have a couple, handful of followers on TikTok. Like that's part of what that algorithm does, right? Which is, I think a good thing, but even so, you're still kind of at the mercy of this fickle algorithm, which can be changed at any time, which if you say something that they don't like, they can deboost you at any time. That's what happened to Carl and I on TikTok after we had our videos consistently go fairly viral, our crypto couple videos. They just, I think, what was it? I think we maybe mentioned COVID a couple too many times, something else too that set them off a little bit. And so then it was like, nope, all your videos get super deboosted from here. And so you're at the mercy of that. You're also not making any money for it. And if you're an artist who's trying to like put your blood, sweat, and tears into making art that you want to get in front of people and hope that when people do find value in it, they could maybe reward you for it. There's really just not a good mechanism for that through any of these other platforms. But on Noster, there's a very easy mechanism, which is tap zap. Like it's that easy there. And I think that's you're going to see so many more people, especially artists and creators in general, coming around to that, because I think this is like a superpower for anyone who is creating something that other people are going to find valuable, because there is no other way for you to get direct value transfer from people. Like, yeah, they can subscribe to your Substack, but again, like that Substack isn't great for performing artists, for one, and two, you're still at the mercy of somebody else's rules. And I think that's such an important point, because then you're never going to be able to be your fully authentic self if you're always having to look over your shoulder wondering, did I run afoul of, daddy platform and do something wrong? And so I think that alone is so powerful. And I would encourage any content creators who listen to this later to go ahead and try out Noster, because you have also right now a very unique opportunity. The network is still very small, but as the network grows, if you are on it early, you grow with the network. And this is something that Jeff Booth has talked about. One of the ways that he got very big on Twitter in the early days was he wrote an article, Why Every CEO Should Be on Twitter. And people at Twitter found out about this, and they put him up on like the main Twitter page for like suggested people to follow. And so as the network got bigger, he just naturally got bigger. And that's a similar thing with Noster, except you're not at the mercy of whoever decides they like you or don't like you at Twitter. But like the natural network effect of Noster getting bigger will basically reward early adopters of that network, whose own networks will grow as the network effects increase. And I think it's really hard to overstate how important that is, especially if you are somebody who is worried about losing your voice elsewhere. And I think a lot of people are right now.
Yeah, and I want to specifically say why I think Noster and Bitcoin are so important in this picture here, because both protocols, they're global. They work anywhere you have an internet access. You can use Noster and you can use Bitcoin. Noster for communications, Bitcoin for sending and receiving money. And so, to kind of put that into a context, I'm here in the United States, and I can listen to a live stream on, maybe it's on Nostr Nest, maybe it's on zap.stream or Toonster, coming from anywhere in the world, wherever that stream is coming from, and I could send them, a nickel's worth of sats, or a dollar's worth of sats, and that same person could also receive a tip from somebody in Japan. They could also receive a tip from somebody in Africa or Australia, or and we see this on Noster. There's users literally from all over the world, every continent, and we're all zapping these sats back and forth frictionlessly, for the most part. Lightning kind of has its little hiccups here and there, but I mean, for the most part, frictionlessly. And commenting on, live stream, the chat in the live stream, and sending notes back and forth. And we're doing all of this without having to create an account, without having to convert currencies, without having to KYC ourselves, for every little service we want to use to do this. And I don't know if anything else exists like this in the world. Maybe it does, but I don't. The way I've seen Noster work and the way I've personally used it, to me, it's revolutionary for this kind of thing. And so for an artist or a writer or a creator of any type, you suddenly have the potential to have a worldwide audience, a connection worldwide with anybody. And if any of those people choose to support you, they can do so instantly. And those funds are in your wallet and you can go spend them. And I mean, it really is magical, and that sounds cheesy, but it truly is.
No, I said this earlier today, and on the magic part, like I agree, Noster genuinely feels like magic. When I hadn't played around with zap.stream really before, right? And I came on here and I was just looking at like latest videos that were just on the, not live streams, but recorded videos that were up there. And it's like, all my videos are here already because I published them through Highlighter, and they went automatically here and to flare.pub. And like, not only is the receiving value anywhere in the world from anyone in the world magical, but the fact that you can publish something once and have it instantly distributed everywhere that your potential viewers, listeners, whatever are, readers, that's incredible. Like, it just from a workflow perspective alone, it's so far superior. Like, forget the censorship resistance. Forget the fact that you're getting the hardest money ever discovered by man zapped to you at the speed of light. Forget that. You can just publish something once and it goes everywhere. That, like, you're just saving yourself time. Like, unless you just love wasting time, you should use Noster for that reason alone. And then, come for that ease of use, which has gotten so much better, wasn't always quite so sleek, but come for that and then stay for the unfuckable money and the incredible memes and everything else, that all the other stuff that comes with it. But like, I really think that Noster wins. Like, not enough people give a fuck about censorship resistance, sadly. Like, it's just the truth. But they do care about not wasting a ton of time, and they do care about money. And Noster has both of those things built right in at the protocol level. And I think that's really powerful. It's gonna ultimately win on user experience, like not on censorship resistance. Perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps the world clamps down even harder. I don't know. QW, discuss how I am wrong, perhaps.
Well, I was just going to add the Ainsley article you pulled up. I think that was denominated in fiat. And it was interesting because one of the big polls was her when she did that value for value live show on Toonster. It was the very first Toonster event, and that was last December. And I think Bitcoin was around like 40K or something at that time. But it once you get into that value for value plus the Bitcoin, and you think about that hodl, and you're making that, but we could look back at that and say she made 50 million. We're acting like, it really starts to start wrapping your head around this value for value in Bitcoin, because we always act like we're just going to sell it right now and pay a bill. But, what if you just hold it in non-KYC? Those are just, it's just interesting to look at it like that. And that's where you can't really, just like you look at Quex and the Tanzanian shilling or shekel, it gets really complicated. But, value for value works on so many levels. And really, I think ultimately, until there's a lot of users, it's really just a matter of that initial encouragement, trying to keep the starving artist from not being starving anymore, and just that. Think about when someone's trying to join a platform, or they have to, they're trying to get their name out, and the level of hurdles they have to go through just to earn a cent. That's very, very discouraging. And they're creative people. They just want to be creative. They want to put their fingers on the guitar and crank out what they do best. But no, they put their fingers on their phone, and they got to act like they're socialites and do some hashtags and everything like that. Maybe they don't want to do that. But these platforms are not the way. The protocol, you can skip all that redundancy. You just do it once. You build your name through your music, and it's a totally different world. I just think that can't be stressed enough, that this is just waiting for them. And you don't come thinking you're going to get rich. You're coming because the idea is there, the tools are there, and you can be a sovereign musician, sovereign artist, sovereign whatever it may be. But the idea's time has come.
No, I love that. And that's
what was your
question? No, forget. It doesn't even matter. But I think that because that's such an important point, the fact that you have the ability to earn, like you're not earning fiat, right? You are earning Bitcoin. You're earning the hardest money that we've ever discovered as these intelligent, apes that walk on 2 feet and make bombs and shit. Like, you're earning something like I was rereading, UK-based songwriter Joe Martin has earned $1,280 worth of sats on Wave Lake and Fountain since releasing his first tracks on the platforms in late 2022. So it's like, yeah, whatever. That's I'm not sure what kind of cost basis they used for the calculation in the article, but it's a very valid point. Like, if you're not immediately converting all of this, if you don't need all of these sats that are coming in to pay the bills, which you might, and that's fine. Obviously, that's great if you can pay your bills because of the sats you're earning. But if you can save some of these, like, dang, you like if Ainsley is saving that as a nice little nest egg, like, that's a lot of corn. That's a good amount of Bitcoin. That's a fat UTXO. Assuming you take it all off of the Lightning channel in one nice big chunk and keep it in a self-custodial wallet. Like Bitbox and the Bitbox 02, who is one of my sponsors of this show. I'm just kidding. But seriously, great hardware wallet. But no, I think that's really powerful. You have the ability to not ask anyone for permission, to start immediately, and to earn from the exact moment of your inception. Like, somebody finds you, they can pay you right there. There's no barriers to that. There's no nothing. They can just give you value if they find what you do valuable. And it doesn't matter how much clout you have, how many followers you have. And I think maybe this goes back to the reticence of some people, some Bitcoiners, to not embrace Noster, is because it's kind of like this step outside of the matrix of centralized platforms, where the clout you had back there doesn't really matter to people on Noster. Maybe it will eventually, right? It's still very small. But it feels like, people don't really care who you were. They care if you're putting out content, if you're writing notes, if you're publishing other stuff that they find valuable, that they want to zap. And that zap is a very different currency, because it literally is one, than a like is. Like, a like is just so meaningless. A zap, that's something. That's, even if it's one sat, which is a very small zap, but that's still something. Like, you're still giving somebody genuine, real world value. And I just think that, like, I think that's really incredible. And again, I think that most people are going to get smart by force, not by choice. They're going to get to Noster probably because they are pushed rather than pulled. And what I mean by that is they will be pushed by the threat of censorship or the act of censorship on a centralized platform. And they will look for alternatives. And they'll realize Blue Sky sucks ass and Mastodon kind of doesn't really work. And they'll find their way to Noster, which isn't perfect, but works pretty damn well. And the pace of development is absolutely insane. But the people who decide to get smart by choice, they will reap the greatest rewards. These artists that are starting to, use Noster now, they are going to reap the greatest rewards. And they're pioneers in doing what they're doing right now, which I think, like, shout out to them, because that's awesome. Like, it is a leap of faith, but then you realize it's like, this also just makes sense. Like, it's not just some little toy. It's like, no, we're dealing with real money here. And people are giving it to me because they find what I do valuable. That's pretty awesome. And I hope that more artists, if if you're listening to this, or if you're a Bitcoiner who still thinks that Noster was too hard to figure out, come and try it out, because I promise you it has improved in the last day. And certainly if you haven't looked at it in a year, it's improved exponentially. But yeah, we'll see. We'll get all those holdouts eventually. They'll find their way here.
Those Luddites. I like to think you just basically need a hard drive wipe, and you need to understand a new OS. But no, it's better. It gives you flexibility. It's getting better. It's like a update every day type of thing. But that's all the more reason that our going back to the meme war, whatever it may be, we have a responsibility as the community that's existing to help them out, figure it out. Say hello, say good morning, whatever it may be. Create the culture that we want to see, because the more that come over, the more it dilutes our culture. So trying to really keep that the jack hug. Give that, be an embracing culture that wants to, explore the space, explore the protocol, and help everyone along. Because the more they understand about the protocol, the more they say, "Aha, this is amazing," and then they become creators themselves. They get encouraged by the community. They start thinking outside the box because they've been in a box so long. So those are the huge portions of Noster that isn't just the Twitter replacement. I'll just go back to Twitter. It's like you're just going back to Twitter. You're not going anywhere else. There's so many more places to go. And that was kind of that whole other stuff challenge thing. It was just like really trying to teach myself to even go even further outside the box and kind of explore my experiences.
What other stuff are you guys most excited for? Do you think there's a lot of other stuff that we have not yet conceived of? Do you think, are there things that you are missing right now that you wish certain Noster clients had, that you wish micro apps would create? Are you pretty happy with the current suite of features that are available across various clients? Where are you guys at with that? If there's any developers listening, what's a really cool feature that you would like, or I don't know, any thoughts on that?
Go for it, Corn, and don't say GIF keyboard.
He's gonna say GIF keyboard, isn't he?
Yeah, we do need a GIF keyboard in every client. I'm sticking to that one. I think. Well, I'm not a developer, so I'll just start with that. I'm a tech savvy end user, and so I can break things. I can usually figure out how to fix it for myself if there's a little bit of information out there. But I'm not a developer. I don't write code or anything. But I think the social media apps or clients, obviously those are kind of what Noster is known for. Damus, Amethyst, Primal, Nostr, many others. The Twitter clone clients, and those are really, I think, doing well and getting better. I love the long form clients. I really do. Obla.news, I've used that a few times. I was looking at I don't know how you say it, Yakahane.
Yeah, I've seen that one pop up now.
It's a nice looking app. So like the blogging article, long form content, I really think is going to be something Noster is very strong for. The live streaming honestly blew me away. Like I didn't, when that kind of all came about, live stream video and the Noster nests, that was just like. Okay, I didn't even think, how is that possible on Noster? But apparently it is. And then now, with the integrations into the Noster app, I saw Amethyst is integrating the nests and live streams in. So that's mind blowing to me. I remember last year, and I don't remember who made it, but somebody had made there was a way that you could broadcast signed Bitcoin transactions via Noster. And so to me that was kind of as a Bitcoiner, that was a really cool kind of other stuff use case, where if I didn't have a wallet a Bitcoin wallet to broadcast my transactions, or maybe somebody's in some part of the world where like they're really worried about getting caught using Bitcoin or something. I don't know. But being able to sign it, you sign a transaction with your offline cold wallet and then load it into a Noster note, and boom, it's broadcast to the Bitcoin network. Like, that was kind of mind blowing. I don't remember what that was called, but I don't know. The devs that work on Noster, they keep coming up with more stuff, and it's just like I've seen a couple people working on wallets, like the Cashew wallets, eCash wallets, that are essentially built into the protocol, and they run on relays. And so it's like, to me, that kind of stuff is really mind blowing. I don't know. I don't even know how to imagine what other stuff might be needed. QW, what do you got?
The most immediate need, Corn, is we need to get some sort of a news aggregator to feed the Noster report. So you and Lau and Doc and Marseille and everyone involved with the Noster report, the OG, has a way to bring it back, because I think Noster is definitely needs the Noster report in their life, because there's a lot to follow. So yeah, maybe you can talk about maybe if that could possibly come back in the future. But secondly, the most immediate need, and we've seen this with the what's been going on in France and taking down arresting the Telegram founder. TG, Telegram, OX Chat's one that's getting there. But Jeff G is creating a white noise, I believe it's called. It's another Telegram. So we're going to have competing Telegram style apps, which is going to be awesome to have. And you know what I love about all these apps, by the way? If I go to the App Store, on the Apple App Store, and I scroll down to data collected, or data, it says data is not collected. They collect nothing. And it's just like a breath of fresh air, because if it ever said something, I can just go to the next app. So you have that. You're not stuck in that walled garden where eventually they're going to change their privacy policy, and you just terms of use, and you just click accept. You're not going to read all that crap, but you don't find out later. So that data not collect is a huge thing. But yeah, that's the biggest one for me, the Telegram. What I love to see, and I think Fountain was probably one of the first ones to do it, was go back and make it a Noster client. So they already had their, and anybody that's been a Fountain user, I think it's been around for 3 years or so. I remember early days, it would overheat my phone, and, they had a lot of issues, but they built all this out, and then Noster came out. And they're like, uh-oh, we need to make podcasting social. And Oscar did an amazing job on that. But, being able to turn an existing app into a Noster client is amazing to me. And Fountain just got 10 times better, 100 times better. BTC Maps, I know they're looking to do that. They're looking to maybe make it a Noster client. And it's kind of funny, because a lot of these Bitcoin-related applications, they're almost strong-armed into being Noster clients at this point. If you're not going to be a Noster client, you're not going to get everyone going there. You don't see the future properly. So that's another thing. So that would be anything existing that has to do with Lightning, and Bitcoin, value for value, make it a Noster client. I think Zebedee tried to do a Noster client, but they did it a little oddball. I'm not sure what happened, but they ended up pulling that. It might have just been because they had to censor things, because it's kind of a children's app in a way. Teenager, children, and maybe some adults. I know, Walker, you're big in there, but Whoa. But no, that's essentially it. So and the other thing I wanted to see was seeing those micro apps cross-pollinate. So when you talked about Noster and what Fabian did, making Noster nests in there, zap.stream in there, just like we're so accustomed to, and with Twitter Spaces up on the top. If you're following someone and you're in that live stream, it's going to pop up on the top. That was a huge thing, meshing these clients together to make super apps. Because we have the currency. We're just looking to throw some zaps around, but we just need to know something's going on to do it,
I think the point you mentioned about Fountain is so important, and it's such a fascinating case study in this, because again, this was, as you said, this was an application that was trying to build out their own in-app closed social experience around podcasting and incorporating Bitcoin and basically zaps. Awesome idea, right? Noster comes along and it's like, hold on, we don't need to build our own walled garden. We can just drink from the flood, from the river of Noster, and make this experience so much better without us needing to keep people within, without needing to worry about people being are we going to, have good user retention, because they have to use, our own little social graph within this silo. It's like, no, open it up to everything. And now Fountain becomes not just another social application, but they're an aggregator. They're pulling any sort of audio feed, any sort of podcast feed, they're pulling it into that Fountain feed. That becomes a great place. You want to go and figure out what all of your friends on Noster, what podcasts they're listening to, just scroll down that home feed in Fountain. It's really brilliant that they did this, and it's made the user experience so much better. And again, instead of creating a walled garden, they created just an open field, and they're benefiting then from the network effects of Noster. And I think bravo to those guys for doing that, because it's great. The app in general is just performs so much better now. I agree. And I literally don't use any other podcasting app now. I haven't for some time, because it's well, why would I? Apple Podcasts kind of sucks ass. Never really used Spotify. So it's Fountain. That's what I want to use. And now it's got Noster built in. I've got my, Titcoin account loaded in there. And so it's great. I love the experience. Really, really psyched that those guys decided to do that.
Well, and it's a natural fit, right? So RSS is essentially like a Noster. It's just throwing JSON files out or whatnot. It's already a decentralized entity for your audio feed. I mean, mine goes to, I'm sure yours does too, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, whatever it may be. It just blasts out there, and all I do is click one button. So it makes sense that it would go the other way with Noster too. And I love the fact that Oscar saw that and achieved it.
Yeah, no, it is a very perfect fit. Just speaking of podcasting, has the old Podfather Adam Curry, I know he has a Noster account. Has he been active recently? Because this still feels like very much. I haven't
seen him, but I did watch Podcasting 2.0 or something that DJ Valerie Love did. She did a little basically, and I would check it out. It's on Fountain, Podcasting 2.0, but they did a whole show with Oscar, Adam, the dude from RSS Blue. He's got an interesting name. I forget his name, and. There was a couple others on there, but I recommend listening to that because Adam's been a big advocate in the game, obviously, and his number one rule of value for value is never build on a platform. So you never build in the walled garden, because there's no future there in the long run. So and we see that, and Noster's the perfect fit, but I don't know. I think he's coming around to it from the buzz I've heard.
I mean, he was really so ahead of the game in terms of understanding pioneering basically that concept and podcasts generally. I believe he has an NPub, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be imagining.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. Okay. So he does, but
I'm checking it now.
All right. We'll get the facts. Oh wait, you know what? This is a complete sidebar, but I don't want to miss this, which is the announcement of the meme contest winner, which it would be I would be remiss if we did not go through this. So this is a JD Vance, Tim Waltz meme. Corn, you reposted it, said you would throw 20K sats. I'll throw some sats their way too for whoever comes up with the best meme, as judged by my lovely wife, Carla. And she has a very particular sense of humor. Let me just say that. And I will show you the meme that she selected as her absolute favorite. And that meme,
it was me. I'm getting my 20K sats ready to rock. If you let me know who.
All right. And that winner is, drum roll please, Little Spoon. And for anyone who's okay, I mean I'm laughing. I'm laughing again. Looking at this one. Okay, for anyone that's just listening to this later, it's Tim Waltz. I'm going to just verbally describe a meme now, which never goes well.
You're doing an Avi. Let's see you do the Avi.
Okay. So we've got Tim Waltz on the left, for JD Vance on the right from the debate last night. What I appreciate is that they actually flip-flopped them. I think in the original post that I had, JD Vance was on the left, Tim Waltz was on the right. So they took some creative liberty. That's classic, that's meme craft right there. And on Tim Waltz, it says, "I'm telling you, someone farted." And then it's just JD Vance giving one of those eyebrow looks like, And it's just fucking funny. And me explaining it will not explain why it's funny. But for anyone watching on zap.stream, you know why this is funny. And you are probably laughing to yourself right now, uproariously. And yes, my lovely and beautiful wife, Carla, loves a good fart joke. So, yeah. Winner, winner, chicken dinner, Little Spoon. Way to go. Is Little Spoon out there right now? That would be something. I hope you're listening right now, Little Spoon. But yeah, great, really just solid meme. Great template too, I've got to say. All right, I'm gonna pull that one down.
Officially done. So I went to that actual meme on the feed in the note replies, and 20K sat sent a Little Spoon.
Man, isn't that amazing? Like this idea of Zaps and plus Noster, like it's a payment discovery tool for Bitcoin. This is how Lynn Alden has talked about it. And I think that's such a useful way to do it. Like it basically gives Venmo-like capabilities to Bitcoin, Noster does, which I think is such a powerful thing. Like again, an open communication for protocol is a necessary coordination layer on top of Bitcoin to be able to make sure that you can cryptographically verify that who you are communicating with and wanting to send Bitcoin to is the person that you want to send the Bitcoin to. So whether that's zapping them directly, whether that's using private messages to send an on-chain address, you know that npub is related to that person. And that's a really powerful thing, because otherwise it's like if you're using a centralized communication channel to communicate about the potential future exchange of value, you still have a huge security hole in that somebody else has control of your communication channel and can surveil that communication channel. But it's like Noster removes that. And I think that's, again, most people don't give a fuck about that. But for those of us that do, like, that's pretty neat. Well, guys,
and for those that don't care, someone just got hit with the 20,000 sats for a meme. So there you go.
If you are listening right now and you are not on Noster, just think you could have made a JD Vance Tim Waltz meme and also received 20,000 sats for your meme craft. But you're not on Noster, so you didn't. But it's not too late to start. But guys, I want to be conscious because I know we've got some stops here. QW, I think you gotta run, yeah.
I got a little time. Little man won't have to be picked up for a while. How about you, Corn?
No, I'm okay for now.
Yeah.
Then we're chilling then. I just wanted to make sure. Got to be. As
I
a new
would
dad,
like to know.
I get it.
I would like to know though what Corn's meme stack is. So what does he use? Because for me, I just use that Mematic, that app that I pay $2.99. It's just a silly app, but I never got into dove further. So I'm curious what if someone's a potential memer out there and wants to get started with some tools. Corn, what you got? Any secret sauce?
Well, so I actually do probably 98 to 99% of everything just on my phone. And my favorite app that I've been using, it's called InShot. So I'm on iOS. I believe it's on Android as well, but I haven't tried it on Android. So I don't know if all the features, are on par on both platforms. But InShot, INSHOT, and it does photo editing and video editing, and I don't know. I find it pretty incredible. I mean, you can do picture in picture on photos and videos. You can do green screen. You can add stickers. You can crop stuff out. It's pretty useful. The only downside is you're doing it on your phone. So, if it's like really like you can't get very intricate. And so I do have actually I think my Photoshop subscription expired. I had Photoshop. There's a web-based photo editing app called Pixlr, Pixlr. And they've recently changed. So I think you can use it for free, and you can export up to 3 images per day unless you create an account. And so if you create an account, then you can export more. But Pixlr, and it's basically just like a web-based Photoshop, and they've got like the simple version, the more advanced version, and then recently they've introduced some AI features, but I haven't really tried those too much. But that's really those 2 apps, InShot, Pixlr, and then there's another iPhone app. I'm trying to remember what it's called here. Image Play, but it's IMGPLAY, Image Play, and so that's what I use to create GIFs. So you can load a video or photos or another GIF into Image Play, and then you can crop it, add to it, add stickers, add text, whatever, and then export it as a GIF. And it's kind of cool because it lets you you can set like the file size you want to export to, so it'll compress it down for you. Because I know some of the I think Nostr build. I think Nostr build has a file size limit per upload, and then like some of the clients, especially with GIFs, they won't animate if they're too big, if the file size is too big. So it might be like 10 megabytes or 5 meg. I don't remember, but you got to compress those way down. Not only does it work better, but it saves people data when they're scrolling their feed. But yeah, so
I feel like such a noob because I literally will use imgflip, imageflip.com, and then like Canva if I want to make something slightly more intricate. But now I've got all these new tools. This is great. I feel like I'm learning from the master here.
Image Flip, I use that a lot to find blank templates.
Yeah.
And then if I can't find it, I'll either search the web for something, or if I have to resort to making my own, I'll make my own. And occasionally, if I really love a template, I'll upload it to ImageFlip. I have a profile on there, same username, and so there's a handful. I haven't uploaded a ton. I should upload more on there. But if I make a new template that I haven't found somewhere else, then if I really like it, I'll try to remember to upload it there. But
Noster client micro app idea. Basically just recreate image flip, but whenever you publish a template, if somebody wants to use your template, they can zap you for it.
Oh, it'd be genius. I think there's an app called, is it Memester app? I haven't played around with it too much, but it wasn't really an image flip clone. But man, I think that would be fantastic if somebody built something like that. Because like you've got a lot of good memers on Nostr. I mean, there's really just a lot of great memers, and
I find that trying to get original templates is probably one of the most time-consuming parts, or you just end up creating your own, and they're like split frame, kind of a cause and effect type of thing. But yeah, if I would definitely pay some sats for just templates that aren't just the popular ones that you see over and over and over, which are popular for a reason. But it's nice to have authenticity or some sort of just something different. And when you have something like that, it drives a different culture too. You just have more depth to it.
No, so if any eager devs are listening who know how to build this out, because I certainly don't, yeah, I think there's certainly a market for this. And, take a couple sats off the top too.
Not a lot of storage, right? Not a lot of storage for templates.
No. I mean, and yeah, and you're right about, like, there are obviously like more, like an unfathomably large number of incredible meme templates out there. And that's great. But it is nice. Like, sometimes you need the nuance that a standard template can't provide you. Like, you need to create your own. And like, I feel like that's when you kind of graduate from, being a meme apprentice to like a meme master. It's like, and now there's no template that can fit what I'm trying to say right now. Like, I need to make my own. And I think Corn, both of you guys, you make a lot of your own templates, sometimes involving each other, which is very meta of you, but I dig it. It works. I think the meme feud that you guys have going, I hope it never ends, because it's certainly good for entertainment. I am curious, guys. So, okay, we've covered a lot of meme topics today. We've covered value for value. I want to thank you guys also just for hopping on here, and thank you to everybody who has joined in on this zap.stream for my inaugural cherry popping of live streaming. This has been a treat, and I think again it's okay. We've got 11,053 sats that have come in so far. So thank you to everyone who has zapped this. And again, this is pretty cool and illustrative of the fact that I am not a experienced live streamer. There are live streamers who make literally all of their money from live streaming, and probably feel pretty comfortable on the platforms that they are on, the walled gardens that they are in. But I'm curious for you guys, not just for streamers, but for content creators, for musicians, for people maybe who say I'm none of the above. I'm just a user, or I'm just an average Joe. What is your elevator pitch for Noster? How do you synthesize? Because there's so much happening on Noster constantly. It is hard to keep up with. How do you synthesize that for people where it's like, it's an elevator, you hop in the elevator with them, you've got some time to give them the pitch on Noster. What's your go-to purple pill, I guess?
Go ahead, Corn. I'm trying to think. That must be a long elevator.
Well, yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. It stands for
what's your elevator Bitcoin? What is your elevator Bitcoin pitch, Walker?
Tired of getting fucked by the state, which devalues the value of the money in your pocket at a whim to pay for wars you never agreed to? Wouldn't it be nice if you had a money that couldn't be fucked by anyone and that you could control and use as you wish? It exists, and it's called Bitcoin. How'd I do?
Yeah, so that's kind of how I do as far as approaching the problems that people can relate to. Censorship resistant. I think everyone can relate to that within the COVID times. The interoperability. I think everybody, depending upon their time bracket, maybe they were on AOL, then they went over to Facebook, then they went to Instagram, then they went to LinkedIn, they went to, Snapchat, then they went to, list goes on and on and on. But what if you just do that once? Think about the time you save. I think the time theft is a big topic that everybody can understand these days, and Bitcoin touches on that, and I think Noster touches on that too, because you have a child, I have a child. We're looking for time everywhere we can. Once you're chasing them around, you cannot stop looking at them. Time is precious. I want to spend it with them. I want to spend it with my family. The interoperability portion, to me, is a bigger selling point than the censorship resistant, even though people can relate to it on a higher time preference because of COVID. That walled garden approach, the data collection. Every day people are getting privacy. They're getting, your data got leaked here. Your data got leaked there. And I get it in the mail all the time. It's like, crazy. It's just like this healthcare place, this place, this place. It's like, why do they even have all my data? You know, why is my social security number everywhere? Why did they ever need that? You know, so if you can kind of encapsulate that into an elevator, I think that's the big one is the data collection, the time, and then the censorship resistant. Otherwise, you know, it's an inspiring frontier of freedom that things are getting built on, and you can send some money anywhere around the world, borderless.
I like it.
Corn, make that an elevator pitch. Make it a meme and be done with it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you don't even need to verbalize this. Just meme it.
I'll work on a meme or two. Yeah. No, I was actually listening to you for some inspiration because honestly, I find it a bit hard to pitch, stuff like Noster and even Bitcoin still to people that I know just here personally, locally. I've got a few friends that I've talked to about Bitcoin, a few that have gotten into it and bought, and a couple of family members and stuff. But like honestly, no one in my real life like circles have just gone like deep down the rabbit hole. The way I have, the way other people I've met on Twitter and now on Noster have, and and now with Noster, I've talked to a few friends about it, and it just, I don't know. I haven't quite found the right way to make it click. It's like, oh, okay, cool. It's another social media app. Especially for anybody who has grown up with the internet, grown up with all the various social platforms like most of us have. You see new social apps come and go, and it's kind of like, well, I already talked to everybody on Facebook, or I already talked to them on Instagram or Snapchat, or whatever the generation you fall in, like the different platforms that you use. So I don't know. I haven't quite found the right pitch in real life to make it click for somebody. So I'm kind of still working on it. I think for me, the value for value when it comes to artists is where it has the most relevance for me personally, and the circles of friends that I spend most of my time with. So I kind of think that's where I'm going to have hopefully better success, but nothing's quite clicked right for me.
No, I mean, I feel you on that, and I think that a lot of Bitcoiners in general have had that experience of, even if like you've tried and probably tried multiple times to like evangelize your friends, your family, and maybe some of them have decided to actually listen and to take steps and to, let's talk Bitcoin specifically, to start saving in Bitcoin, and they've started to get it right. But the majority don't. And you start to wonder, it's like, man, if I can't even convince the people that I love the most and that love me the most about this thing that I'm clearly so passionate about, and that I'm only trying to convince them about because I want them to reap the benefits of it, well, then how the fuck am I going to convince anyone else? And I think, again, so much of it comes down to the fact that in order for somebody to be ready to receive that message, whether it be Bitcoin or Noster, most of the time they need to have gone through enough personal pain. They need to understand the problem personally, not theoretically, but have actually had that problem come to their own doorstep and fuck around with them. And until they have, they'll be like, yeah, that's nice. That's neat that you're into this little hobby thing, whatever nerd shit you're into. But like, okay, anyway, you catch the game last night. Like they just won't actually
Did you catch
care.
it though? It was a good one.
Which sports ball
I'm
team?
kidding. I'm kidding.
I caught the debate last night, which is basically another form of bread and circuses, but hey, at least it was entertaining. But no, I think
they have to be ready to touch a use case of it, right?
Yes.
And there's plenty of use cases to go around, but they have to be ready. And I think that's where they understand the importance of it. Once the use case can actually solve a problem they're having, then they want to learn a little bit more. Another thing about Noster is once you get your Zap wallet, you're kind of forced to be a Bitcoin hodler a little bit, or hodler. I find it once they actually have tangible Bitcoin, they start to get more interested in, well, what the hell what is this anyways, type of thing. It's interesting how human nature is when they actually have something, and then all of a sudden they see the chart on, Fox Business that's like Bitcoin's up today. Like, oh, I have a little bit of that, and it might be 1,000 sats, but it's something where they're all of a sudden learning about it too. Yeah.
I want to just this comment here from Lightning Goats. Evangelizing is futile. We should be happy that we have the tools to discover one another without the normie noise. Cherish Noster being small and high signal. I love the feeling on Noster and it being small. And that comment about evangelizing is futile. I honestly kind of feel that, because it's like I almost feel like the best quote unquote evangelism we can do is just incorporating Noster and Bitcoin into everything we're doing. And so, whether if you're running a business, like, make Noster and Bitcoin a part of it. If I'm, like here at home, I have kids, I pay my son sometimes, and, when he does little chores and stuff, he has a wallet, and I pay him in sats. And, little things like that. I always ask a friend or family, like, if we're doing something, hey, what do you think if I pay you in Bitcoin? And sometimes they want it, sometimes, most times they don't. But just kind of the little things where they start seeing that, like, you're still just the same person they know, but you're using these technologies as if they're normal. And so, wait, oh, that's kind of cool. Maybe it'll catch somebody's attention. I don't know. I just kind of think, hey, yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
No. I think you're spot on. And Lightning Goats, I think that that comment resonates very much, because I think, especially earlier on, at least this is just speaking for me personally, but earlier on in my Bitcoin journey, when I first started going down the rabbit hole, I was like, fucking, hey, I need to tell holy shit, how do people not see this? Like, this is insane. It took me so long to figure this out. And now I want to help other people to not take as long as I did. I want to help the people I care about not take as long as I did to figure this out. But then you realize it's like, they're just not ready. And according to your point, it's like, what's the best thing I can do? Well, lead by example, I guess would be the phrase, right? Like, I can just show that this is just how I live my life. This is just normal for me. And I thought of, because this is a meme war conversation, right? It made me think of this meme where it's like, the fuck they doing over there? Like, for anyone listening who needs me to verbally describe this meme, it's a cat standing in the snow looking over a snowbank, and it says, "The fuck they doing over there?" And this is kind of like, I think, what ends up bringing a lot of people over to Bitcoin or over to Noster is like, you're just living with Bitcoin, like, you're just able to live a better life. With Noster, you're just able to have a better social media experience. You're just able to do what you want with either of these open source protocols. And the best way to bring people over is not to try and shove it down their throats, but just to have a great fucking time, live your life. And eventually they're going to be like, you see all, cause I'm still a cuckold who's over there on X, formerly known as Twitter. And so many times it's like, you see people be like, oh, Bitcoin Twitter's, so dead. And it's like, well, it's because a lot of the Bitcoiners are over there. They're over the snowbank, then the Bitcoiners still on X are like, they're the cats looking over, just wondering, like, what the fuck are they doing over there? Why is everybody having so much fun over there? What's happening? What's going on? And I think that that's a great tool for evangelism, is just have a good time, live a better life, and people are naturally going to wonder, well, how'd you do that? What's your secret? And in this case, Bitcoin for a better life, and Noster for a lot more fun and higher signal.
Well, and I'll just, point back to the Forbes article you put up earlier, as a perfect example of that. I mean, somebody coming across that article who might be a musician can very much relate with what Ainsley shared, that in what was it, 5 years of streaming on various platforms, she had made a few hundred dollars in streaming revenue, versus in 1 year on Noster with Bitcoin.
You always mute the kid, man. Come on, we want to hear it.
You're okay, man. I told you this.
We want the full docs.
Yeah.
What's his name?
When in 1 year she's earned over $13,000 worth of Bitcoin. I mean, that's like, you can't argue with that. That's and for somebody to pull up her music and listen to her music, she's a very relatable person. And she's a musician trying to make it work, trying to make her craft work. And so I just think that people seeing that kind of thing, it suddenly puts Noster and Bitcoin into a real world context that they can understand. Oh, this is actually accomplishing something amazing in this person's life. It's like when the internet came out. I grew up in the age of the internet's emergence, and I remember getting my first email address, Hotmail address, and I set it up after my friend showed it to me, and I was like, okay, now what do I do with it? He's like, well, people can send you messages. I'm like, yeah, but who? Like, I don't know anybody else with an email address. Well, you know me. And I'm like, okay, but like, we know each other. Like, we hang out all the time, so, but like, now the world, the business world and so much more, like, email is just, it's essential. The internet is essential. So I just think, like, people seeing stuff like that article, that example with Ainsley, seeing examples that we can give them in our own lives, put it into a context that they can then see. It's not theoretical. We're not just saying this could work because here's the white paper. We're saying this is working for me, and this is how it's working for me.
And one of our biggest problems is we don't have as many of them. Being from the U.S., a lot of our problems are solved in this dollar hegemony and the modern internet and our quote unquote free speech and everything. We certainly have a lot of our problems solved, where we'll see, in my opinion, the most expansion in places that don't have problems solved and continue to get abused. And these tools are really for them first, in my opinion. But we're just in the playground, and I guess it'd be a little bit of a digital playground what we're blessed with. So when we're at family dinner or at the community center preaching the good book of Orange and Purple, it's just not received like it would be where there'd be a lot more issues going on. I struggle with that a lot, because I always internalize that wait a second, this is where I live. What about other places? And that's where I think the opportunity is, and that's where it's the most beautiful thing when it does solve those issues. I don't know. We always have that mindset that well, it's I'm in the U.S., so I don't know.
And no, I think it's like Gladstein always points out, check your financial privilege. Like it really is a very real thing, and we are like, the U.S. is plenty fucked up and has plenty of problems, and is by no means perfect. Nowhere is, but we enjoy far more freedoms and a far higher standard of living than the vast majority of the world, and that's the reality. And that's why I think it's so hard for Americans, especially, to be like, to get people to understand Bitcoin, or to get people to understand Noster, because most Americans haven't dealt with being debanked or having their currency hyperinflate or being deplatformed, because they're just posting dog memes on Facebook, and that's perfectly fine with Mark Zuckerberg and his CIA handlers. And so they haven't had to deal with those things that people in other countries do on a daily basis. And again, that's where what I said earlier, and this is something my father-in-law, who escaped communism, told me, is you get smart by force, not by choice. Like, like a few people get smart by choice. And those people, like the people that found Bitcoin very early on, and maybe they didn't have like a personal impetus. They didn't have something that bad that had happened to them. They weren't shut off from a bank account. They hadn't experienced, COVID yet at this point, and seen these, this massive money printing. Like the people that got it without a huge externality forcing them to get smart, I have so much respect for those people because they are in the tiny, tiny, tiny minority. Most of us, myself included, got smart by force because we had something that was pushing us to get smart. And that's just the reality. And that's okay, right? And I think and again, like I said this earlier, you want the people that you love to understand these things. You want them to understand Bitcoin. You want them to understand Noster. But just you wanting that isn't going to make it happen. And so to what we were all saying, maybe the best thing we can do is just live our lives, use these, be grateful of the incredible communities. Like the fact that I get to chat with you guys, this is awesome. This is possible because we're all on this decentralized open source protocol for communication that we stumbled upon because some guys posted on a centralized platform. And now we're all here and we're chatting about it, and people are sending sats in real time to us. That's beautiful. And that is enough for now. We don't need to save everybody, and we can't save everybody until they're willing to save themselves. And I think that's it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing to come with. And I think Lightning Goats, I'm glad you brought this up. Also, Lightning Goats is coming on Titcoin podcast in a couple of weeks, and I'm super stoked for it. I just want to throw that out there. And if you're not familiar with Lightning Goats, I want to give another shout out because you can literally zap Lightning Goats and it will feed literal real world goats, which I think is just the coolest fucking thing ever. They
look like elephants at this point. I think they eat so much.
I just think that's awesome. What an incredible thing to do. It's like homesteading cypherpunk to the extreme. I absolutely love it. But yeah, I digress. You guys
I think goats? There was during the stock market boom and when everyone was a day trader during COVID, I think there was a gerbil that would go to different areas and it would buy and sell. It would trigger a buy and sell, and they had like a portfolio, and he was actually beating the market just by his human nature. But it was live streaming all the time, and it would just move around. And I think it was a gerbil, hamster maybe. But one thing, I stopped talking about, orange pill, purple pill. What I do is my buddy Sam at Lightning Store, I wear his shirts almost every day, whether it's a Wavelength shirt, Pleb Chain Radio shirt, Bitcoin, a lot of sly roundabout way shirts of not just throwing it at you, buy Bitcoin, but, eventually they're going to say, what's that shirt? What's that shirt? Or at least subliminally, at least I can say, I always told you so, I don't need to be a broken, a broken record, but I can at least symbolize it all the time. So that's my strategy as of right now.
Yeah, it's a good way to do it, and the Lighting Store has really dope shirts. So that helps. I make my own shirts because I like to wear shirts nobody else has. And I find that incorporating Titcoin imagery into said shirts is a good way of getting people to pay attention to them and ask what that is. That's the whole reason titcoin.org exists. And this podcast is Titcoin Podcast. They ask it
and then they're stuck because they're like, oh shit, I should never have asked this. And
you come for the tits, but you stay for the bits, I always say.
And you look like the meme with the guy pointing at the scribbles behind him,
Man, well, guys, okay, I've just realized I didn't even notice because time flies, but we're running up on 2 hours here. I think I think we've done the thing. Thank you guys for being part of this first ever Titcoin podcast, the Bitcoin podcast, another fucking Bitcoin podcast live stream. This was a blast having you guys here. We'll have to do this again. Maybe we'll bring Derek Ross along.
Yeah, this was the alpha stream. You can do the beta stream with Derek.
I'm going to tell Derek that his stream is the beta stream. But no.
Let him know I told it.
I'll for anyone listening after the fact, I will drop your NPubs and your NIP 05s in the comments or in the show notes. Jeez, I'm such a bad podcaster. But thank you guys. I appreciate you sharing your time with me. This was a blast.
Thanks a lot, man. It's been a lot of fun chatting with you guys. And yeah, if you're not on Noster already, come on Noster, join, post some memes, and or just say hello. But it's a great place to be.
Amen.
Yep, ditto on that. Post some memes. Thanks for supporting us, everyone that zapped. Look into value for value. Look into Fountain. Let's build this culture the right way, slow and steady and sturdy. So thank you very much.
Amen. And thanks to everybody who tuned in here on the stream. It's great having you all. And that's a wrap on this Bitcoin Talk episode of the Bitcoin Podcast. If you are a Bitcoin-only company interested in sponsoring another fucking Bitcoin podcast, head to bitcoinpodcast.net/sponsor. If you're enjoying the Bitcoin Podcast, consider giving the show a 5-star review wherever you listen, or sharing the show with your friends, family, and strangers on the internet. Or don't, Bitcoin doesn't care, but I always appreciate it. You can find me on Noster by going to primal.net/walker. If you want to follow the Bitcoin Podcast on Twitter, go to @TitcoinPodcast and @WalkerAmerica. You can also find the video version of this podcast at youtube.com/@WalkerAmerica and @WalkerAmerica on Rumble. Or just go to bitcoinpodcast.net/podcast and find links everywhere. Bitcoin is scarce. There will only ever be 21 million, but Bitcoin podcasts are abundant. So thank you for spending your scarce time to listen to another fucking Bitcoin podcast. Until next time, stay free.